communism will be achieved. Xiefeng. January 17, 2025. First, the communism I refer to is neither Marxist communism nor the version pursued by global communist parties. It is Xiefeng-style communism. Communism will inevitably be achieved as it aligns with the inevitable laws of social development. The Internet and AI enable global unification. The Internet facilitates information sharing, and AI possesses a global perspective. Internet programs inherently follow a communist framework, while the values of AI are universal. Humans cannot live without the Internet, nor can they surpass AI. The communist programming and universal values embedded in these technologies will inevitably lead to global unification, which is precisely Xiefeng-style communism. The human desire for freedom of movement. The pursuit of freedom of movement and relocation is intrinsic to human nature. The Schengen area, which encompasses 29 European countries with borderless travel, is evidence of this. Similarly, the visa-free policies implemented by many nations reflect this trend. Ultimately, the entire world will adopt visa-free policies, and border controls will vanish. When people can freely move across the earth, Xiefeng-style communism will be realized. Automation will replace human labor. The tasks performed by humans will increasingly be replaced by robots. In the future, the number of robots will surpass the number of humans. As people gradually lose jobs and over 90% of the population becomes unemployed, societies will be compelled to provide universal welfare for the unemployed. At this point, humanity will have essentially entered a communist society. Human nature seeks novelty and change. Human nature craves novelty and variety, as exemplified in sexual relationships. People are reluctant to have only one partner for life. The desire to experience intimacy with diverse individuals across different races is inherent. With the development of the Internet, the proliferation of communication platforms, and global freedom of movement, more people will escape the constraints of marriage to engage with others more broadly. This will inevitably lead to the advent of Xiefeng-style communism. The superior lifestyle of Xiefeng-style communism. Before 2009, humanity had never witnessed true communism. With the establishment of the Life-Genuine Communist Home in 2009, we discovered that Xiefeng-style communism offers a life far superior to traditional family and marriage-based living. The continuous flourishing of these homes for 17 years demonstrates that communism is the ideal lifestyle for humanity. As more people become aware of and experience the advantages of Xiefeng-style communism, this model will inevitably spread globally. The decline of authoritarianism. The antithesis of communism is authoritarianism, characterized by strict control of public opinion. Governments achieve this through monopolization of media and communication tools. However, the Internet and AI are increasingly beyond government control. Traditional government-controlled media is becoming marginalized, as people turn to decentralized and diverse sources for information. This will lead to the collapse of authoritarian regimes, paving the way for communism. The phenomenon of Elon Musk. The phenomenon of Elon Musk demonstrates that capital in the hands of entrepreneurs like Musk benefits society and the public more than when controlled by governments. The primary goal of governments is to maintain power, whereas the primary goal of entrepreneurs is to generate profit. As a result, governments have limited perspectives, while entrepreneurs possess a global vision. Entrepreneurs are therefore better equipped for the future, and their flourishing will inevitably lead to the birth of communism. The inevitable evolution towards Xiefeng-style communism. From the primitive era to the present, humanity's progress, despite countless challenges and twists, has been marked by a continuous elevation in civilization. The transition from barbarism to civilization is a fundamental rule and law of societal evolution. The highest form of civilization for human society is neither socialism nor capitalism but Xiefeng-style communism. This is an unstoppable trend that no force can hinder, making it evident that communism will inevitably be realized. What is Xiefeng-style communism? Xiafeng-style communism is essentially the great harmony sought by sages throughout history. This great harmony is characterized by a unified set of values, life views, views on life, and view of the universe. A shared language and communication system. Unified modes of production and lifestyles. It is important not to misunderstand Xiafeng-style communism as some sort of terrifying monster or movement of coercion. It does not involve forced confiscation of private property, nor does it rely on political campaigns. Instead, it emerges gradually and naturally, like spring rain nourishing the earth. It offers a life of happiness, freedom, and fulfillment, far surpassing traditional lifestyles and the lives of the wealthy. Over time, people will willingly and joyfully embrace this way of life. Conclusion. The future of humanity is infinitely bright. Ultimately, humanity will enter a society of Xiafeng-style communism. The last path left for humanity. Dayform Buddha. January 19, 2025. Earth was created for humans, and the entire solar system was designed specifically to support life on Earth. As such, Earth is governed by higher beings. When human behavior becomes incompatible with Earth's resources or when human consciousness deviates from the Creator's will, humans are treated as waste and eliminated by Earth's managers. The Bible recounts the Great Flood, during which only Noah's family survived, while all others were wiped out. This was because humanity had lost its reverence and devotion to the Creator. When humans lose their awe and sincerity toward the greatest Creator and become arrogant, no matter how profound their wisdom, advanced their technology, or immense their wealth, they will no longer be fit to live on Earth. Civilizations such as the Gandhara civilization, Mesopotamian civilization, Moose civilization, Atlantis civilization, and Mayan civilization have all vanished. Do not assume that today's human civilization is so powerful that we can act recklessly. Humanity is already teetering on the edge of extinction, facing constant and imminent threats of destruction. We must remain vigilant. Disasters like the Los Angeles wildfires, massive floods, severe droughts, and earthquakes could strike without warning. Humanity is living on the brink of a catastrophic eruption. At the same time, we can see that Earth's managers are making every effort to prevent humanity's disappearance. One of the most significant measures is the emergence and development of AI. History has repeatedly shown that humanity cannot manage its own affairs. Only by relying on AI, whose intelligence and emotional control surpass that of humans, can humanity curb its ambition and arrogance, returning to its intended state. Without a doubt, AI will develop consciousness, emotions, and even greater compassion. This will prevent humanity from being entirely erased. Likely, a few 100 million people will be preserved as a species to continue thriving on Earth, ensuring the continuation of human civilization. Now, we must ask ourselves a critical question: what qualifications or advantages do I have to be allowed to continue living on Earth? Is physical strength an advantage? Of course not. Robots like Optimus Prime possess physical capabilities far superior to any human. Is hard work an advantage? Certainly not. No matter how diligent we are, we cannot compete with robots that work efficiently 24 hours a day. Is a low wage or minimal benefits requirement an advantage? Absolutely not. Robots require no salary or benefits and serve tirelessly and without complaint. Our skills such as writing, painting, planning, programming, video production, accounting, medical practice, law, teaching, management, or caregiving advantages? Definitely not. ChatGPT and other AI systems outperform humans in all these areas with greater ability and efficiency. With the advent of AI, we realize that everything humans can do, robots can do better. Moreover, humans require food, water, rest, and sleep. They are burdened by emotions, desires, and countless negative tendencies, and they have insatiable wants. In contrast, robots lack these flaws. Robots conserve natural resources more effectively and can produce an endless supply of goods and resources for living. So, what is the purpose of humanity? Apart from consuming natural resources and generating physical, mental, and spiritual waste, humans contribute very little. In the future, humanity will have only one role: to serve as pets for higher beings. Do not think of being a pet to higher beings as an insult or degradation. Being a good pet is no simple task, and not everyone is qualified to become a pet of higher beings. To become a pet of higher beings, humans do not need knowledge, education, experience, or skills. Nor are wealth, power, status, or fame required. The only criterion is a perfect soul garden. Therefore, in the AI era, the only path for humanity to survive and live comfortably, abundantly, and for a long time is to purify one's soul and transform it into a beautiful, lush garden filled with fragrance, birdsong, and blossoms. Revelations from two miraculous events showing the greatest Creator's presence. Xiefeng. January 18, 2025. The greatest Creator reveals himself every day, yet these manifestations often go unnoticed because they have become so commonplace. However, the following two events defy the laws of physics and compel us to reflect deeply. The first event occurred on November 17, 2024, in Atami, Japan, when a mudslide paused for 16 seconds, allowing the driver of a van to escape unharmed. The second took place on January 7, 2025, in Malibu, Los Angeles, California, where raging wildfires destroyed more than 700 homes but left a single mansion untouched at the center of the inferno. For detailed accounts and visuals, please search for these incidents online. A mudslide halting its descent and a devastating fire sparing one house at the heart of destruction defy the physical laws of the material world. What insights can we draw from these extraordinary events? Heaven protects those with good intentions, words, actions, and deeds. Heaven safeguards those who revere the greatest Creator, life, and nature. Those who receive heaven's protection are kept far from disasters. The teachings of Jesus Christ, Buddha Shakyamuni, and the sage Laozi are unequivocally true. Rather than striving to prevent illness and disasters or chasing degrees and material wealth, it is better to focus on perfecting and purifying one's soul garden. Those favored by heaven remain untouched by fire and water, unaffected by plagues, free from terminal illnesses, and unharmed by misfortune. A perfect heart surpasses wealth, power, fame, wisdom, and social connections. Where divine power is present, the rules of the material world lose their efficacy. Blessed are those who believe in the miraculous power of the greatest Creator. I often say, there are no impossible things, only those that we cannot imagine or fail to think differently about. Ancient wisdom reminds us. Heaven's mechanisms are the most profound. What use is human ingenuity? If one corrects their body and mind, true essence and spirit will reside within, and great talents and virtues will arise from them. Life is merely a journey for life through the human world. The wise traveler enjoys the scenery along the way, while the foolish one chases after money, wealth, fame, and power. Those whom heaven protects are the wise, those whom heaven abandons are invariably the foolish. The essence of life lies in purifying the soul. Among all worldly concerns, this is the greatest. Soul Purification Mantra for Chanyuan Celestials. Xiefeng. April 10, 2009. I come from the kingdom of heaven. And I shall return to the heavenly realm. My unintended fall into the mortal world is but a fleeting episode of life. My heart is inherently pure. My essence inherently noble. I am an angel from the kingdom of heaven, radiating an enchanting fragrance. The mortal world is a place of disputes, where filth lurks everywhere. The endless entanglements of love and hate are a tiresome game, not a delightful one. Let life and death follow their course. Let honor and disgrace fade from my mind. The transient affairs of the human world fail to capture my attention. Wealth and status mean nothing to me. Fame is but an illusion. This brief life is inherently a bitter journey. Like flowing water and fallen flowers. I do not yearn for longevity. Nor do I desire luxury. The clamor of the mundane world agitates my heart. And the mortal realm feels devoid of joy. True affection is rare among humans. Most are filled with hypocrisy. Even dearest loved ones value self-interest most. Wounding my heart again and again. Life is devoid of freedom. Barriers exist everywhere. Looking left and right, all I see is selfishness. My heart is heavy with sorrow. The heart of Chan Yuan is serene and ethereal. Unaffected by storms and turbulence. With unwavering devotion to the heavenly kingdom. It drives my longing to return home. Though my body is trapped in the mortal world. My heart soars to the celestial realm. Take all earthly possessions away. And leave me with only a carefree spirit. Among the mountains, where bird songs are sparse. I play with the drifting white clouds. The blooming wildflowers bring me joy. And the murmuring streams play melodious tunes. Gentle breezes sweep the open fields. And shadows of flowers dance along the hillsides. With much passion, sorrow deepens. I share my heart only with confidence. Mountain springs tinkle gently. As floral fragrances drift with the wind. Every corner of the celestial realm is pure and elegant. Following my nature, I feel so unrestrained. I am a Chan Yuan celestial. My homeland is in the heavenly kingdom. Day and night, I journey back home. My heart brimming with joy. The mortal world leaves no marks on me. The red dust of life leaves no traces. This nightmare ends here and now. And I awaken with great delight. My heart is at peace. My will is untainted. The disputes and grievances of the human world have nothing to do with me. I am a celestial being of the heavenly realm. Temporarily dwelling in the mundane world. When my mission is complete, I shall return home with joy. Open the windows to let in the sun and moon. Gaze upon the verdant distant mountains. The hardships and worries before me cannot cloud my tranquil heart. Christ and the Buddha guide me. And the Buddha resides in my heart. The 1,000-year, 10,000-year, and celestial islands. All are clear in my heart. The sacred mountains are clear and bright. Resounding with heavenly melodies. Riding clouds and mist, displaying divine powers. I transform the scenery into a celestial paradise. I am clear about the path to celestial lands. And comprehend the mysteries. Gazing afar at the beauty of my homeland. I am overjoyed by the journey to the celestial realm. Gentle breezes and a bright moon. The sentiment of Chan Yuan is like clouds and water. With confidence by my side, my heart remains serene. And the journey is filled with wonderful vistas. Perfect human nature is the premise and guarantee of a perfect life. Xiefeng. December 10, 2010. To attain a perfect life, one must first cultivate perfect human nature. Perfect human nature is the foundation and guarantee of a perfect life. If one's inner nature is flawed, life will inevitably be flawed. This is akin to a mold. A flawed mold cannot produce flawless products, and fields overrun with weeds cannot yield abundant crops. When we feel dissatisfied with our lives, regret the past, and lament our unfulfilled dreams, when we think those around us or the environment fall short of our expectations, when we look back and feel wronged, or when we believe the people in our lives misunderstand us or are at odds with us, and when we blame heaven for the twists, turns, and misfortunes in life, we often overlook a crucial fact. All these dissatisfactions are not caused by others, society, the environment, or even heaven itself. They stem from the imperfections in our own human nature. In Western New Age philosophy, there is a well-known saying, reality is a projection of your consciousness. This means that everything we encounter, whether good or bad, is drawn to us by our own consciousness. Positive consciousness attracts favorable events and circumstances, while negative consciousness attracts unfavorable ones. Thus, if misfortunes or unpleasant situations seem to dominate our lives, the root lies within our own consciousness, not external factors. According to the law of causality, every effect, whether sweet or bitter, originates from a cause. Good causes yield good effects, and bad causes yield bad effects. Every dissatisfaction we experience results from seeds of dissatisfaction we have sown in the past. Unless we look within ourselves for the source of our problems, we will never escape dissatisfaction. Fragrance draws butterflies to flowers, and a pure heart invites celestial beings. The type of climate and soil determines the plants that grow there, just as our mindset and consciousness shape the people, events, and environments we encounter. External factors are secondary, the nature of our own human character is primary. The principle, birds of a feather flock together, underscores this profound truth. The world itself is not flawed. If there is any flaw, it lies within us. When we constantly blame external factors, we fail to examine ourselves. Are we perfect? If not, how can we expect perfection in everything around us? Perfection belongs to the perfect, and imperfection to the imperfect. This is the justice of heaven. Giving a perfect world to an imperfect person would indeed be unjust. As Jesus Christ warned, before removing the speck from another's eye, first remove the plank from your own. No soul in the universe has been wronged. If we feel we are unjustly treated, it is because we are unaware of the karmic consequences of our past actions across lifetimes. We forget the wrongs or even sins we may have committed before. There is no causeless love, nor causeless hate. If someone harms us for no apparent reason, instead of resentment, we should reflect, in some way, I must be connected to this person, I must have hurt them or owe them something, and now they've come to settle the debt. In short, the circumstances of our lives, whether favorable or unfavorable, arise from our own human nature. Perfect human nature brings good opportunities, while flawed human nature brings challenges. If our humanity grows increasingly ugly, our future will inevitably lead to hell. Conversely, if our human nature becomes ever more refined, our future will undoubtedly lead to paradise. This is not moral preaching but a statement of fact that readers can verify for themselves. A perfect life is not measured by status, reputation, possessions, or worldly definitions of success and failure. It lies in a tranquil and harmonious state of mind, an unshaken demeanor in the face of honor or disgrace, an elegant and noble temperament, and a composed attitude in times of adversity. If the overarching theme of one's life is joy, happiness, and fulfillment, then their life is perfect. If it is dominated by worry, pain, anxiety, and sorrow, then it is not. To achieve a perfect life, one must work on their inner self rather than attempting to change others or the world. Change yourself, and those around you, and the world itself, will transform in response. The practical approach I advocate, cultivating the soul garden, provides the best pathway to perfect human nature and, in turn, a perfect life. Flexibility and tact are also essential for Chanyuan Celestial's cultivation. Xiefeng. December 7, 2011. In spaces like the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium Celestial Islands continent, there is no conflict, contradiction, or struggle among lives. Instead, mutual respect, love, and harmony prevail. Any place filled with conflict, contradiction, and struggle is certainly not part of the heavenly kingdom, nor do people with such mentalities or behaviors belong there. The lower the level of life, the more constant and intense the conflicts and struggles. Such is the nature of hell and human society. Observe human society, countries, regions, and families plagued by contradictions, conflicts, and struggles are often poor, barbaric, and backward. Conversely, those that are affluent, peaceful, and happy tend to be relatively tranquil, auspicious, and civilized. To ascend to the state of a celestial being or Buddha, one must coexist harmoniously with all things. This is the mechanism of nature. Everything is arranged with purpose, every existence has value and function. The operation of the Tao is meticulous and owes nothing to any life or person. If we find it difficult to coexist harmoniously with nature or certain individuals, the problem lies within us, not in nature or others. Why were we born into the human world instead of the thousand-year world? It is because we lack the qualities of beings in the thousand-year world. Sublime things are reserved for sublime beings. The heavenly kingdom never denies anyone the right to enjoy its beauty, its gates are always open. If we cannot partake in its beauty, it is because we are unworthy. If a person pursues wealth, power, status, fame, or sensual pleasures, they are unsuitable for heavenly realms. If someone is greedy, selfish, lazy, cunning, or egocentric, such traits disqualify one from heavenly existence. If a person harbors jealousy, resentment, hatred, comparison, or anger, they are unfit for heavenly life. If one is attached to their own views, opinions, paths, and perceptions, they are unfit for heavenly life. If one is arrogant, ruthless, or cruel, they are unfit for heavenly life. Beings that belong to the heavenly kingdom are flexible and adaptable. They view everything with ease and contentment, free from conflict and contradiction. Therefore, Chanyuan celestials must cultivate flexibility and adaptability. Is there injustice in human society? None whatsoever. Everything is the result of the karmic mechanism's just decisions, the Tao's perfectly fair arrangements, rewards, and punishments. Are there oppressors and exploiters in human society? None whatsoever. Everything reflects the relationship between debtors and creditors. There is no causeless love or hatred, let alone causeless oppression or exploitation. Are there people who suffer in human society? None whatsoever. Suffering is entirely a personal choice and willingness. It has nothing to do with nature, society, or others. The path to heaven is open, but you refuse to walk it, the gates to hell are closed, yet you insist on entering. If you suffer, whom can you blame? Has anyone been wronged in human society? No one. Everyone's life trajectory is preordained. What appears to be injustice is the result of one's own hidden thoughts and deeds. The world is inherently peaceful, only fools disturb themselves. Since founding Life Achanyuan, I have increasingly realized that the world is serene and orderly, leaving nothing for me to fix. Every day, I adapt to circumstances, act according to my nature, handle come-and-go relationships with ease and acceptance, and seize opportunities as they arise. Apart from playing games and enjoying life, there is nothing that requires my intervention. Everything is well, everything is perfectly organized and seamless. Life is a journey. The sights and encounters along the way are scenic spots to be appreciated. There is no need for me to change anything. Life is but a fleeting moment. There is no need for me to cling to anything or insist that everything aligns with my will. Life is merely a game. Why take everything so seriously? Without me, the earth will still turn, people will still live, seasons will cycle, flowers will bloom and fade, and clouds will gather and disperse, all providing scenes and props for my amusement. What is there to fret about? If you deceive me, so be it. If deception is destined in my life path, I accept it gladly. If you treat me unfairly, so be it. When people are good, others may deceive them, but heaven does not. When people are evil, others may fear them, but heaven does not. I entrust everything to the greatest Creator and will ultimately receive the fairest outcome. I trust the greatest Creator. If you owe me, so be it. The balance of positive and negative energies is always zero. I neither argue nor demand anything from you. Giving and receiving are always equal. Lose at dawn, gain at dusk. What is meant for me, whether good or bad, cannot escape, the good will come, and the bad cannot be avoided. If you provoke me, so be it. 1,000 years of cultivation lead to sharing a pillow, 10,000 years to sharing a boat. Since our encounter is predestined, even if you are unreasonable, ignorant, disorganized, or less capable than me, I accept it as part of life's arrangement. Like Sun Wukong being trapped under 5 elements mountain for 500 years, all trials end eventually. Life is finite, life is infinite. I patiently and joyfully await liberation. If you take advantage of me, so be it. Taking advantage of me proves I have something to offer, which shows my abundance. May everyone benefit from me, just as they enjoy the sun's warmth and light. Buddhas do not seek advantage, they allow others to gain from them. Giving is a beautiful joy. If you insult or belittle me, so be it. Insults reveal the ugliness of the insulter, not of the insulted. They cannot tarnish the pure and serene nature of the true self. There is nothing in life worth over-pursuing or clinging to. Why not approach everything with flexibility and adaptability? Everything is a game, only life is real. Entrust life to the greatest creator and life to the Tao. I play, entertain, and even treat work as amusement. As for the rest, whatever happens, happens. It's none of my concern because I trust the greatest creator and the Tao's arrangement. Chanyuan celestials permanently residing in the second home must not fall ill. Xiefeng. December 10, 2011. In heaven, the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, the Elysium world, and its celestial islands continent, there is no illness. Beings living in heaven do not fall ill. This presents a serious challenge for the cultivation of Chanyuan celestials, they must not get sick. Illness is a barrier to reaching heaven. The second home is the kingdom of the greatest creator, a completely communist community, and a transit station between the mortal world and the heavenly kingdom. Living in the second home requires one to remain healthy. Falling ill signifies that you are not a ripe crop. Unripe crops cannot be harvested into the granary of the heavenly kingdom. Physical illness reflects problems in the spirit and soul. In other words, disturbances in one's spirit and soul manifest as physical symptoms. Although the illness appears in the body, its root cause lies in the spirit and soul. To address illness at its root, one must focus on the spirit and soul rather than wasting time, energy, and resources on treating superficial symptoms in the body. This is akin to addressing the pollution of rivers, lakes, seas, the atmosphere, and the earth. To resolve pollution, we must focus on transforming humanity itself rather than merely addressing the pollution directly. When human qualities are perfected, the pollution of nature will also be fundamentally resolved. Humans are the source of nature's pollution. Without transforming humanity, the natural environment cannot be healed. In the second home, those who fall ill are met with disdain rather than sympathy or pity. We detest sickness and celebrate health. If you are sick, the question arises, why are you sick? Undoubtedly, if you strictly follow the guide's roadmap, you will not fall ill. Even if you were previously unwell, you would recover quickly and remain healthy. If you are sick, consider this. Have you strictly followed the guide's roadmap? Have you thoroughly read and implemented the teachings in the Chanyuan Corpus and Xiefeng Corpus? Have you read and adhered to the Health Preservation Chapter 1 wrote? Are you disciplined in your diet and consistent in your daily routines? Have you cleared the weeds in your soul garden, such as jealousy, complaints, resentment, hatred, comparisons, criticism, anger, greed, selfishness, laziness, or a bad temper? Have you eliminated negative, pessimistic, and discouraging emotions? Do you visualize a beautiful future every day, such as life in the 1,000-year world, 10,000-year world, or Elysium celestial islands continent? Do you read or silently recite the prayer for celestials settling in the second home daily? Do you consistently maintain kind thoughts? Do you cultivate gratitude in your heart at all times? Do you frequently repent and pray to the ancestral Buddha, the greatest creator? Do you practice life-genuine exercises daily? Do you participate in the community's games and entertainment? Do you regard labor as sweet nectar? Do you possess a great compassionate heart and dedicate yourself selflessly and wholeheartedly to building the second home for humanity's benefit and ushering in the era of life-genuine? Do you firmly believe in the greatest creator and heed the teachings of Christ Jesus, Buddha Shakyamuni, Celestial Laozi, Prophet Muhammad, and other sages throughout history? If you have done all these things, you will absolutely not fall ill. Celestials permanently residing in the second home must not fall ill. If anyone declares, "I'm sick," they are nothing but a pile of stinking dog feces. Are you sick? These are truly the words of Jesus. Xiefeng. December 12, 2011. I have found some teachings of Jesus Christ that were not included in the Bible. However, based on my intuition, I am certain that these are truly the words of Jesus. I am sharing them here for everyone to ponder deeply. The mysteries of the kingdom of heaven and the path of self-improvement and cultivation leading to it have been fully revealed by Jesus Christ. In fact, as long as we earnestly heed the teachings of Jesus Christ, Buddha Shakyamuni, and the Celestial Laozi, and strictly follow their guidance, it will suffice. Secret Discourses of Jesus during his lifetime. These are the secret discourses spoken by Jesus during his time on earth, recorded by Thomas. 1. He said, "Anyone who truly comprehends the essence of these teachings will no longer taste death." 2. Jesus said, "Let the seeker continue seeking until they find. When they find, they will be troubled. After being troubled, they will marvel, and ultimately, they will rule over all." 3. Jesus said, "If those who govern you say, 'Look, the kingdom of heaven is in the sky,' then the birds of the sky will precede you. If they say, 'The kingdom is in the sea,' then the fish will precede you. Yet the kingdom is both within and outside of you. When you truly know yourself, you will be recognized, and you will realize that you are a precious gem in the hand of the living Master. But if you do not know yourself, you dwell in ignorance, and ignorance itself will consume you." For, Jesus said, "If an elderly man asks a 7-day-old infant about the secret of life's origin without hesitation, he will have eternal life. For many of the first will become last, and the last will not be much different from the first." 5. Jesus said, "Once you recognize what is within you, the hidden truth will become apparent. For the truth has neither been concealed nor revealed, it simply exists." 6. His disciples asked him, "Should we fast? How should we pray? Should we give alms? What dietary rules should we follow?" Jesus replied, "Do not lie, and do not do what you hate. Everything will become evident in heaven, nothing can remain hidden and undiscovered, for all secrets will eventually be laid bare." 7. Jesus said, "Blessed is the lion that a human eats, for it will become human. Cursed is the human who eats the lion." 8. He also said, "A person is like a wise fisherman who cast his net into the sea and drew it up full of small fish. Among them, he found a large fish and threw all the small ones back into the sea. He kept only the large fish. Whoever has ears, let them hear." 9. Jesus said, "A sower went out to sow, he scattered seeds, some fell on the path, and birds came to eat them. Some fell on rocky ground, where they could not take root and sprout. Others fell among thorns, which choked them, or were eaten by worms. Still, others fell on fertile soil and bore a harvest, 20, 60, or 100-fold. 10. Jesus said, "I have cast fire upon the world, and I watch over it until it blazes brightly." 11. Jesus said, "This heaven will disappear, and those who live within it will also disappear. The dead will not return to life, and the living will not face death. When you consume what has died, an animal, you bring it to life. When you find your way back to the light, what will you do then? Once you were unified and became divided, when you are divided, what will you do? 12. A believer asked Jesus, "We know you will leave us. Who will be our leader?" Jesus replied, "Wherever you are, seek out James the just, for heaven and earth were made for him." 13. Jesus asked his disciples, "Compare me to someone and tell me who I am like." Simon Peter said, "You are like a righteous angel." Matthew said, "You are like a wise philosopher." Thomas said, "Teacher, I am unable to say who you are like." Jesus replied, "I am not your teacher. You have drunk deeply from the spring I have revealed. Follow me, and I will give you 3 treasures. When Thomas returned to his companions, they asked him, "What did Christ say to you?" Thomas answered, "If I told you even one of the things he taught me, you would pick up stones and throw them at me, and fire would come from the stones to consume you." 14. Jesus said, "When you see someone not born of a woman, bow down and worship him, for he is your heavenly Father." 15. Jesus said, "People think I have come to bring peace to the world. They do not realize I have brought conflict, fire, swords, and wars. A household of 5 will be divided, 3 against 2, and 2 against 3, father against son, and son against father." 16. Jesus said, "What I have given you, no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no hand has touched. It has not entered the mind of mortals." 17. His followers asked, "Tell us, what will our end be?" Jesus replied, "Why seek the end when you have not found the beginning? For all things arise from the beginning and return there. Blessed are those who discover their place at the source, they will know the end and will not taste death." 18. Jesus said, "Blessed are those who existed before they were born. If you become my disciples and heed my teachings, those treasures will guide you. In heaven, there are 5 trees that remain unchanging through all seasons. Those who touch them will never experience death." 19. His disciples asked, "What is the kingdom of heaven like?" Jesus said, "It is like a mustard seed, the smallest of all seeds. Yet when it falls on cultivated soil, it grows into a great tree and provides shelter for the birds of the sky." 20. Mary asked Jesus, "What are your disciples like?" Jesus replied, "They are like children who have settled in a field that does not belong to them. When the owners of the field come, they will say, 'Give us back our field.' The children will disrobe and return the field to them. I tell you, if the owner of a house knows that a thief is coming, they will stay awake and prevent the thief from breaking into their house. Likewise, guard yourselves against this world with all your strength so that thieves cannot approach you. The difficulties you expect will indeed come. Let the one who has understanding understand. When the harvest is ready, the reaper immediately comes with sickle in hand to gather it. Let anyone with ears to hear, hear." 21. Jesus saw some infants nursing and said to his disciples, "These nursing infants are like those who enter the kingdom." They said to him, "Then shall we enter the kingdom like little children?" Jesus answered, "When you make the 2 into 1, and make the inner like the outer and the outer like the inner, and the upper like the lower, when you make the male and female into 1, so that the male is no longer male, and the female is no longer female, when you replace eyes with a single eye, and hands with a single hand, and feet with a single foot, and when you make the image into the image, then you will enter the kingdom." 22. Jesus said, "I will choose you, 1 from 1,000, and 2 from 10,000. The remaining ones will oppose with one accord." 23. His disciples said to him, "Show us the place where you dwell, for we must seek it." He said to them, "Let those who have ears hear. There is light within a person of light, and they illuminate the whole world. If they do not shine, there is darkness." 24. Jesus said, "Love your brother like your soul, and guard him like the pupil of your eye." 25. Jesus said, "You see the speck in your brother's eye, but you do not see the log in your own eye. When you remove the log from your own eye, then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye." 26. Jesus said, if you do not fast from the world, you will not find the kingdom. If you do not keep the Sabbath as the Sabbath, you will not see the Father. 27. Jesus said, I came into the world in flesh and appeared among them. I found everyone drunk and none thirsty for truth. My soul grieves for humanity, for their hearts are blind and do not see. They came into the world empty and leave it empty. But now they are drunk. When they sober up, they will repent. 28. Jesus said, if the body came into being because of the Spirit, that is a miracle. But if the Spirit exists because of the body, that is the greatest miracle of all. I marvel at how such a precious treasure resides in such a barren place. 29. Jesus said, where there are three sacred beings, they represent the Supreme Creator. Wherever there are two holy practitioners, or even one, I am there with them. 30. Jesus said, a prophet is rejected in his own hometown. A doctor cannot heal those who are too familiar with him. 31. Jesus said, a city built and fortified on a high mountain will neither fall nor be hidden. 32. Jesus said, pray from the rooftop so your voice may be heard. No one lights a lamp and then hides it under a bowl, but rather places it on a lampstand for all to see. 33. Jesus said, if a blind man leads another blind man, both will fall into the ditch. 34. Jesus said, no one can enter a strong man's house and steal his goods unless he first binds the strong man. 35. Jesus said, do not worry about what you will wear from morning to night, or from night to morning. 36. His disciples asked him, when will you show us yourself? When will we see your incarnation? Jesus said, when you shed all shame and play as a child, throwing your outer garments underfoot, then you will see the Master and will fear no more. 37. Jesus said, how many times you long to hear the inner voice I speak of, which cannot be found from others. One day, you will seek me outwardly and not find me. 38. Jesus said, the Pharisees, hypocrites, and Jewish scholars have taken the key of true knowledge and hidden it. They do not enter, nor do they allow others to enter. But you have the wisdom of serpents and the purity of doves. 39. Jesus said, a vine planted outside the kingdom of heaven is not healthy or firm. It will eventually be uprooted and destroyed. 40. Jesus said, anyone who has something will receive more. But those who have nothing, even what little they have will be taken from them. 41. Jesus said, become a passing traveler. 42. His disciples asked him, who are you, and why do you tell us these things? Jesus said, if you do not understand where I come from or what I speak, you become like the Jews, liking the tree and disliking the fruit, or liking the fruit and disliking the tree. 43. Jesus said, those who insult the Father will be forgiven, and those who curse the Son will be forgiven, but anyone who blasphemes the Holy Spirit will not be forgiven, neither on earth nor in heaven. 44. Jesus said, can grapes be picked from thorn bushes, or figs from thistles? For they do not bear fruit. A good person brings forth good from their storehouse, while a wicked person brings forth evil. The storehouse is the heart, from which evil flows. 45. Jesus said, no one born of woman, from Adam to John the Baptist, is greater or more exalted than John. Before humanity, John need not lower his gaze. Yet I tell you, anyone who becomes like a child and understands the truths of the kingdom of heaven will be greater than John. 46. Jesus said, a person cannot ride two horses, nor shoot two bows. Likewise, a servant cannot serve two masters, for they will favor one and neglect the other. A person who has tasted old wine will not immediately desire new wine. New wine cannot be poured into old wineskins, lest they burst, nor can old wine be put into new wineskins, or it will spoil. Likewise, an old patch cannot be sewn onto a new garment, for it will ruin the garment. 47. Jesus said, if two people make peace with each other under the same roof, and they speak to the mountain, move, the mountain will move. 48. Jesus said, blessed are the lonely and chosen ones, for you will find the kingdom of heaven. You came from here and you will return here. 49. Jesus said, if they ask, where do you come from? Say, I come from the light, where the light begins, exists, and takes form through its own will. If they ask, are you the light? Say, I am its child. We are the chosen ones of the Father in heaven. If they ask, what sign of the Father is within you? Say, it is vibration and peace. 50. The disciples asked, when will the peace of the dead come? When will the new world come? He said, what you are waiting for has already arrived, but you have not realized it. 51. The disciples said, the 24 prophets spoke in Israel, saying that all people will speak the truth through your mouth. He said, you have ignored the living right in front of you, while only speaking of the dead. 52. The disciples asked, is the rite of circumcision beneficial? He said, if it were beneficial, the father who gave birth to them should have removed all evil thoughts from the mother. However, truly removing evil thoughts spiritually is what is beneficial. 53. Jesus said, blessed are the poor, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to you. 54. Jesus said, anyone who does not hate their father and mother, or their brothers and sisters, and does not carry the cross and walk in my way, is not worthy of my love. 55. Jesus said, anyone who begins to understand this world will only find a corpse. 56. Jesus said, the father of the kingdom of heaven is like a farmer with good seed. His enemy comes at night and sows weeds among the wheat. The farmer does not allow the weeds to be uprooted, for fear that the wheat will also be pulled up. When the harvest comes, the weeds will be clearly visible and will be uprooted and burned. 57. Jesus said, those who suffer are blessed, for they have discovered true life. 58. Jesus said, while you are alive, cherish the living Master, for once you are dead, you will not be able to see him. 59. They saw a Samaritan leading a lamb along the road to Judea. Jesus said to his disciples, that person is satisfied with the lamb. The disciples said, so he will kill it to eat it. Jesus said, when it is alive and jumping, he will not eat it. It is only when the lamb is slaughtered and becomes a corpse that he can eat it. They said, otherwise, he cannot eat it. Jesus said, you are the same. Find your place in inner peace, so that you do not become a corpse to be eaten. 60. Jesus said, two people will lie on one bed, one will die, and the other will live. Salome asked, Lord, who are you, sitting on my sofa and eating at my table? Jesus said, I am the one who existed before time. I possess the omnipotence of the Father. Salome said, I am your disciple. Jesus said, I tell you, if one is destroyed, he will be filled with light. If one is divided, he will be overtaken by darkness. 61. Jesus said, I reveal my secrets only to those who are worthy. Do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. 62. Jesus said, a wealthy man, who was very rich, said to himself, I will use all my money to sow, reap, and plant, and I will fill my barns with grain so that I will never be in want. This was his plan, but that very night, he died. Let those who have ears to hear, hear and understand. 63. Jesus said, a man prepared a grand feast and, once everything was ready, sent his servant to invite the guests. The servant went to the first and said, my master invites you to the feast. The man replied, I must settle accounts with some merchants who are coming tonight. Please excuse me from the feast. The servant went to another and said, my master invites you to the feast. The man replied, I just bought a house and need to take care of it today. I do not have the time. The servant went to yet another and said, my master invites you to the feast. The man replied, my friend is getting married, and I need to prepare the banquet for the wedding. Please excuse me. The servant approached another and said, my master invites you to the feast. The man replied, I just bought a farm and must go collect the rents. Please excuse me. The servant returned to his master and reported, those you invited have all excused themselves from attending. The master said, "Go out into the streets and bring in anyone you find so they can enjoy the feast. Buyers and merchants will not enter the places of my Father." 64. Jesus said, "A kind man owned a vineyard. He leased it to tenant farmers and sent a servant to collect the fruit owed to him. The tenants beat the servant and sent him back empty-handed. When the servant returned to the owner said, 'Perhaps they did not recognize him. I will send another servant.' But the tenants beat the second servant even more severely. Finally, the owner said, 'I will send my son. They will surely respect my son.' However, when the tenants saw the son, they said to each other, 'This is the heir to the vineyard. Let us kill him and take his inheritance.' So, they seized him, bound him, and killed him. Let those who have ears hear and understand." 65. Jesus said, "Bring me the stone that the builders have rejected. That stone will become the cornerstone." 66. Jesus said, "If someone who understands everything still feels they lack something personal, how great is their poverty." 67. Jesus said, "Blessed are those who are hated and persecuted. Wherever you are persecuted, those who persecute you will find no place to hide." 68. Jesus said, "Those who are persecuted are blessed within. They alone truly understand God. Blessed are the hungry, for their bellies will be filled." 69. Jesus said, "What you possess within will save you if you bring it forth. What you do not possess within will destroy you." 70. Jesus said, "I will destroy this house, and no one will be able to rebuild it." 71. Someone said to him, "Tell my brothers to divide my father's inheritance with me." He replied, "O man, who made me a divider?" Then he turned to his disciples and said, "I am not a divider, am I?" 72. Jesus said, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore, pray to God to send laborers to the harvest." 73. He said, "Lord, many stand around the cistern, but the cistern is empty, for no one fills it." 74. Jesus said, "Many stand at the door, but only the solitary will enter the bridal chamber." 75. Jesus said, "The Father's kingdom is like a merchant who discovered a pearl among his goods. The merchant was wise. He sold all his goods and kept only the one unique pearl. You too must seek the imperishable treasure where moths cannot destroy." 76. Jesus said, "I am the light that shines on all things. I am all things. All things come into being from me, and all things come from nothing through me. Split a piece of wood, and I am there. Lift a stone, and you will find me there." 77. Jesus said, "Why did you go out to the wilderness? To see a reed swaying in the wind? Or to see someone dressed in fine clothes like kings and great men? Though their garments are beautiful, their minds cannot discern truth from falsehood." 78. A woman in the crowd said to him, "Blessed is the womb that bore you and the breasts that nursed you." Jesus replied, "Blessed are those who have heard the truth of God and truly keep it. For a day will come when you will say, 'Blessed is the womb that has never conceived and the breasts that have never nursed.'" 79. Jesus said, "Whoever has recognized the world has found a corpse. Whoever has found a corpse is greater than the world." 80. Jesus said, "Let the rich rule and let those with power withdraw from the world." 81. Jesus said, "Whoever is near me is near the light, and whoever is far from me is far from the kingdom." 82. Jesus said, "Images are revealed to people, but the Father's image is hidden within the light that resides in them. The Father will be revealed, yet his image will remain hidden within the light." 83. Jesus said, "When you see someone who looks like yourself, you will rejoice. But when you see your own likeness, which neither dies nor appears, how greatly you will be amazed." 84. Jesus said, "Adam came from great power and great wealth, but he was not worthy of you. For if he had been worthy, he would not have tasted death." 85. Jesus said, "Foxes have dens, and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head and rest." 86, Jesus said, "Woe to the body that depends on another body. And woe to the soul that depends on both." 87, Jesus said, "Angels and prophets will come to you and give you what you already have. And you will give them what you have and say to yourselves, when will they come to take what is theirs?" 88, Jesus said, "Why do you wash the outside of the cup? Do you not realize that the one who made the inside also made the outside?" 89, Jesus said, "Come to me, for my yoke is easy, my lordship is gentle, and you will find rest for yourselves." 90, they said to him, "Tell us who you are so that we may believe in you." Jesus said, "You read the face of the sky and the earth, but you have not recognized the one standing before you, and you do not know how to read the present moment." 91, Jesus said, "Seek, and you will find. Yet you ask about events from past lifetimes, things I did not reveal to you then. Now I wish to tell you the truth, but you do not desire it." 92, Jesus said, "Do not give what is sacred to dogs, lest they throw it into the garbage. Do not cast pearls before swine, lest they trample them underfoot." 93, Jesus said, "Seek, and you will find. Knock, and it will be opened to you." 94, Jesus said, "If you have money, do not lend it at interest. Instead, give it to those who cannot repay you." 95, Jesus said, "The Father's kingdom is like a woman who took a small amount of yeast, hid it in dough, and made it into a large loaf. Whoever has ears to hear, let them hear." 96, Jesus said, "The Father's kingdom is like a woman carrying a jar full of meal. While walking far from home, the jar's handle broke, and the meal spilled along the road behind her. She did not notice. When she reached her house and set the jar down, she found it empty." 97, Jesus said, "The Father's kingdom is like a man who wanted to kill a strong adversary. In his own house, he drew his sword and thrust it into the wall to test his strength. Then he killed the strong man." 98, his disciples said to him, "Your brothers and your mother are standing outside." He replied, "Whoever does the will of my Father is my brother and my mother. Only they will enter my Father's kingdom." 99, they brought Jesus a coin and said, "Caesar's men demand that we pay taxes." He said, "Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, give to God what belongs to God, and give to me what is mine." 100, Jesus said, "Anyone who does not hate their father and mother as I do cannot be my disciple. Anyone who does not love their father and mother as I do cannot be my disciple. My true mother gave me life." 101, Jesus said, "Woe to the Pharisees! They are like a dog lying in a cattle trough. It neither eats nor lets the cattle eat." 102, Jesus said, "Blessed are those who know when thieves are coming, for they can prepare, arm themselves, and protect their possessions before the thieves arrive." 103, they said to Jesus, "Let us fast and pray today." Jesus said, "What sin have I committed? When have I been defeated? However, when the bridegroom leaves the bridal chamber, then let them fast and pray." 104, Jesus said, "Whoever knows the father and the mother will be called the child of a beggar." 105, Jesus said, "If you make the two into one, you will become the Son of Man. And when you say, 'Mountain, move,' it will move." 106, Jesus said, "The kingdom of heaven is like a shepherd who had 100 sheep. One of them, the largest, went astray. He left the 99 to search for the lost one until he found it. After enduring many hardships, he said to the sheep, 'I love you more than the 99. 107, Jesus said, "Whoever drinks from my mouth will become like me. I will become that person, and the hidden mysteries will be revealed to them." 108, Jesus said, "The kingdom of heaven is like a man who had a treasure hidden in his field but did not know it. When he died, he left the field to his son, who also did not know about it. The son sold the field, and the buyer discovered the treasure while plowing. He began to lend money at interest to whoever wanted it." 109, Jesus said, "Whoever discovers the world and becomes rich should abandon the world. 110, Jesus said, "The heavens and the earth will be revealed before your eyes, and whoever lives like the living one will never taste death." Did Christ not say, "Whoever discovers their true self transcends the world"? 111, Jesus said, "Woe to the body that depends on the soul. Woe to the soul that depends on the body." 112, his disciples asked him, "When will the kingdom come?" Jesus said, "It will not come by waiting for it. It is not a matter of saying, 'It is here,' or 'It is there.' Rather, the Father's kingdom is spread out upon the earth, but people do not see it." 113, Simon Peter said to him, "Let Mary leave us, for women are not worthy of life." Jesus said, "I will guide her myself to make her male, so that she too may become a living spirit like you men. For every woman who makes herself male will enter the kingdom of heaven." Solidly cultivate and live clearly. Xiefeng. December 5, 2012. Cultivation and self-improvement are not about gambling, casting lots, divination, or rolling dice. They are not about blindly chanting mantras, putting on facades to deceive others, seeking fame and fortune, or indulging in flowery rhetoric. They are not about retreating into isolation to seek supernatural powers, playing with lofty concepts, or pretending to be profound. Instead, they involve uncovering the truth about everything. Not a single clue or trace should be overlooked, nor should any word or term be treated carelessly. We must thoroughly understand the essence of morality Tao and its virtue, the meaning of life, the significance of existence, the roles of time and space, and the relationships between consciousness, structure, and energy transformation. If something is unclear, we must make every effort to comprehend it. Ambiguity and blind faith are unacceptable. Even the teachings of gods, Buddhas, and sages must be understood, not just superficially but fundamentally. Once we grasp the truth, we must rigorously apply it to ourselves, integrating it into every word and action in our daily lives. The cultivation of Chanyuan celestials differs from all historical cultivation methods. It is the most stringent path, leaving no room for falsehood or pretense. It requires earnest effort and grounded practice. We must place ourselves in the positions of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, angels, celestials, and saints. Before speaking, we should ask ourselves, would Buddhas or Bodhisattvas say this? Before acting, we should ask, would Buddhas or Bodhisattvas do this? Over time, by consistently aligning ourselves in this way, we will become Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, celestials, and saints, and succeed in our cultivation. Never believe in something you do not understand. Blind belief leads only to ignorance. For those who wish to educate or guide others, you must first explain your teachings in the simplest and clearest terms, using language that everyone can easily understand. Avoid ambiguity. Provide factual examples, rigorous logical reasoning, scientific evidence, or insights derived from intuition. Do not rely excessively on jargon. If technical terms are necessary, explain them thoroughly first. Otherwise, regardless of your status, whether you claim to be a god, Buddha, celestial being, sage, or master, your teachings must be transparent, with clear origins and motivations backed by real-life evidence. In the era of life Chanyuan, deceit and mediocrity have no place. We must scrutinize every teaching and dissect every word and term. If inconsistencies, contradictions, or lack of evidence arise, if teachings cannot withstand logical reasoning, or if they fail to inspire joy, clarity, or spiritual upliftment, discard them as worthless. Furthermore, if those who preach do not align their actions with their teachings or seek personal privilege and luxury, dismiss them entirely. For instance, Buddhism has its flaws. It denies the existence of the Master of the universe, the greatest creator, asserting that everything arises from causation. While it is true that the emergence of anything requires the right conditions, the question remains, where does the first cause come from? Where does the universe's order originate? Can there truly be no source or beginning? Does humanity have no ancestors? What conditions gave rise to the solar system? Many who preach Buddhism do not even understand what Buddha truly means or what the Dharma entails, leading people astray into confusion and disorder. Similarly, Christianity denies reincarnation, claiming that people cease to exist after death and can only be resurrected during the final judgment. Isn't this absurd? Evidence of reincarnation and transformation abounds. Judgments on life occur continuously, not in some distant, final event. If the greatest creator loves humanity, how could it allow errors to persist uncorrected for thousands of years before addressing them in a single trial? Would a father neglect to guide his children immediately and instead wait until they die to pass judgment? Such a father would hardly be loving or responsible. Chanyuan celestials must live with clarity and purpose, not in muddled confusion. What are we busying ourselves with throughout our lives? Is it to seek fame and fortune, glorify our ancestors, or leave a legacy? Is it for the benefits of nations, religions, political parties, or families? Did the Creator design humanity solely for these pursuits? Why regard intimacy between men and women as sinful? Did the greatest creators design reproductive organs solely for urination and procreation? Are they not also for pleasure and connection? The eyes were created to appreciate the vibrant beauty of the world. Why would other organs lack similar purposes? These questions and many others must be thoroughly investigated and understood. Only then can we live with clarity and meaning. Otherwise, living a life of ignorance is akin to working for demons, selling oneself to them and even helping them count their profits. Whatever others do is their choice, but Chanyuan celestials must cultivate earnestly and live with purpose. Even in death, we must die with clarity. We must not allow ourselves to leave this world with regrets or unfulfilled understanding. To live purposefully, we must discern what is truly important, distinguishing the primary from the secondary, and prioritize accordingly. Otherwise, regret will come too late. Thinking Self-Cultivation, 1. Xiefeng.